Hey everyone, it's Blake. Welcome in to episode number 74 of our WWE 2021 Save and TEW 2020. This is night one of the Mae Young Classic, and as you'll see from these beautiful graphics on the screen here, no, I just did not all of a sudden get the skill of creating a graphic like this. Huge shout out to Ben, who has followed our series, of course, from the beginning. I always mention Ben. Great comments, great feedback on the series. And Ben had messaged just saying, hey, I've got some graphics made. If you want to use them, you can. And so I said, Ben, the problem is, am I going to be able to figure out how to put these in the videos? Because I'm not that great either when it comes to the editing part of it. But I knew when I saw these graphics, we got to figure it out because these things are fantastic. And so you will see these throughout the tournament, kind of add to the visual, the atmosphere, all of that. It's just going to add so much. I mean, I hope you guys love these because I love them. Like, I think it just adds so much to the kind of building up the tournament nature of these matches, and having these is just going to be great. So let's jump in to night one of the Mae Young Classic. I've been hyping this tournament up for months now, and we're finally here. And we are going to begin with Shayna Baszler making her way to the ring. So we're starting off big here. Shayna makes her way to the ring, waiting for her mystery opponent. 68 overall on this one. And so it is officially set up. And you see, oh, what a beautiful graphic. Shayna Baszler versus a mystery opponent. We've been pushing this for a while. Shayna has had no issues. She's not really been worried about who her opponent's going to be because Shayna's been dominant. As we know, in our save, as one half of the tag team champions, she and Sonja Deville have simply been unbeatable to this point. Really, neither one of them have lost in our series. 6 months going here. And so they aren't really worried because they feel like that they are set for a match in the finals, knowing how dominant they've been. So it's officially set up. Shayna Baszler versus a mystery opponent. And here comes Stone Cold Steve Austin. So a huge way to start night one of the Mae Young Classic. Austin makes his way out, and boy, does Stone Cold have a smile on his face. 67 here for this one. And it is Stone Cold Steve Austin saying that he wants to kick this tournament off with a bang. And so he says, Shayna Baszler, I'd like to introduce you to your mystery opponent in the first round of the Mae Young Classic, and Austin is just smiling from ear to ear. And then, over the audio system, we hear the screaming of 4 words, and it is 4 words we've heard before, but my goodness, it's been a long time since we've heard them because she has officially returned. Rhea Ripley is back, and Steve Austin announces Rhea Ripley as Shayna Baszler's first round opponent, 78, so a great segment here. Yes, this is a surprise, I know, for a lot of you, because if you go back to June, the very first month of our save, what happened? The Raw curse began, and that's when Rhea Ripley suffered I think it was a torn Achilles or something, at the King of the Ring. It was Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan against Sasha Banks and Bayley. That made me shuffle so much around, and I can't even tell you guys still how much that made me change once that happened, because that's when we had SummerSlam coming up, all that, and Rhea Ripley was our Raw Women's Champion. Well, we said she's going to be out a year, so a lot of you are probably expecting Rhea Ripley to return at the King of the Ring. Well, I used the surgery option immediately, and that's when I figured out, okay, this worked, it was successful, said she'd be back in 6 months, whatever it was. And then I started plotting it out. I'm like, all right, wait a second. So this is when, again, I started doing the Mae Young Classic bracket pretty early on in our series. I wanted to kind of have everything set because I had all the stories in place and everything that we wanted getting to that point. So I guess it's been a couple months ago, several months ago at least. And I'm thinking, all right, she's going to be back for the Mae Young Classic. I said, this is it. Like, this is what we have to do. Like, this is going to be perfect timing. She was officially available. I think it was at the end of last week, so December week 1, she could officially make her return. And so Rhea Ripley is back. And now we have the setup, Rhea Ripley versus Shayna Baszler, first round of the Mae Young Classic. And I know none of you are shocked here, as it is Rhea Ripley getting the win over Shayna Baszler. 957, the Riptide, 61 here. So I think a lot of these matches you'll see, we have to remember, keep it in context of a lot of these are going to be matches, I think, in the 60s, maybe some in the 70s. just based on the overness and those kind of things. It's not going to be your traditional sort of show. When we have some of these other people who are rated 85 or something. There's not a lot of those on the women's side. But Ripley gets the win. And yes, she is officially back off her game. I don't care. Look, it's her first match back in 6 months. So perfectly fine with that. We get the crowd buzzing here with a 61. But yes, I don't know how many people predicted it. I don't think many did, because I think everyone still thought it was going to be quite a while before Rhea Ripley returned. Nope. She's back. And what a boost that is to our Raw Women's Division as Rhea Ripley, the former champion, has returned. And then it is Pat McAfee, and you will see McAfee's going to be doing some work in this tournament. He's going to be all over the place. Pat McAfee talks to Toni Storm about her history in the Mae Young Classic, a former winner here, and McAfee wants to know, kind of what does that mean for you going into this tournament, knowing that a lot of people see you as one of the favorites, perhaps. You've got a tough road to get to the finals, but, what do you think about this? What about the pressure, understanding what it takes to win? And that's when Toni Storm says, of course I know what it takes to win. I've been here before. I've proven that I am one of the best wrestlers on the planet, and that's exactly how I won the first tournament. I was the best wrestler, and she says she's going to do that again because she knows she's a better wrestler than Alexa Bliss, and she knows she's a better wrestler than anyone else in this tournament. So Toni Storm, very confident here going into it, as she should be as a former winner of this tournament. So a 59 on this one. And speaking of Alexa Bliss, she's backstage with Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai, the Mean Girls. And Bliss makes it clear she wants the Mean Girls to go 3-0. But she again throws in that jab. However, Dakota, I know you have the biggest challenge. And you winning is going to be, a bigger shock than anything, because we all know that I'm going to win, and we all know that Raquel's going to win. So it's up to you, Dakota. You have to be the one to make sure that we're 3-0. So the continued sort of, jabbing back and forth here with Alexa and Dakota Kai, that's kind of what we're playing up here. And so a 58 on this one. And we are officially set for our match. Alexa Bliss, Toni Storm, as we said, a former winner here, Toni Storm, against Alexa Bliss, who has been kind of using her by any means necessary mantra since we've kind of reintroduced her in our save. And so which one's going to win out here? We will see. And here we go. Toni Storm versus Alexa Bliss, Mae Young Classic, first round. And it is Alexa Bliss getting the win over Toni Storm in what many could see as an upset here. Because, again, I think a lot of people wondered, could Toni Storm make a run, perhaps, as a former winner of this tournament? It doesn't happen, and this is how we play it up here. So 64, actually, not a bad match. It is Alexa using the ropes for leverage. So Alexa using that by any means necessary sort of approach that she's taken in a lot of her matches. Meanwhile, Toni Storm really hyping up the wrestling ability. Well, Toni Storm's still the best wrestler perhaps in this match, but it's Alexa going that extra mile to kind of do whatever it takes to win, and so she advances. Now, Toni Storm off her game a little bit, that's okay, but at 64, I'm pretty pleased with this. This actually did pretty well. So, Alexa advances, and so the Mean Girls officially 1-0 in the first round. Will they get to that 3-0 mark? We will see. And Pat McAfee again doing some work as he is in the back, and Liv Morgan is getting ready to make her entrance. And look, McAfee wants to know, what do you think about Toni Storm's loss? Because, they're tag team partners, the Rebels here, and Morgan is, she understands, she's surprised. She thought Toni Storm was going to go a long way in this tournament, and she thought there was a chance that they could meet in the finals. But Storm is out, perhaps an early upset here, and she says she's trying to focus on Raquel because she knows what Raquel is capable of. And so this is kind of Liv Morgan just kind of playing that up, that, her partner just lost, maybe surprising to them too. But now Liv Morgan has bigger problems, quite literally, with Raquel Gonzalez. So kind of playing that up here, get a 60 overall, and that is going to lead us into our match between Raquel Gonzalez and Liv Morgan. We've been playing up Liv as the underdog here. Meanwhile, Raquel, as we know, has been on a pretty dominant run in our save thus far. I mean, she has really just, she's been kind of steamrolling everyone as part of the Mean Girls being the muscle for Alexa Bliss, and that's kind of our setup here. Can Liv Morgan, the underdog, who was kind of the opposite of Toni Storm, who felt like one of the favorites, Liv Morgan's the underdog here. Could she make a big underdog run against Raquel Gonzalez? Let's see what happens. First round action it is Raquel Gonzalez getting the win over Liv Morgan. Probably not a lot of people surprised by that. I tried to play it up as much as I could for Liv, but not happening. Raquel gets the win in 7:22, 54 overall for this one. So, again, Raquel, popularity-wise, still not that over. I mean, like I said, I think she's in low 50s, maybe still upper 40s. And so, kind of one of those things where can't say I'm shocked that this did not do as well. And Liv's the same way. Liv's in the upper 40s or lower 50s, I think. So, this will probably be, I hope this is our worst match of the first round, or maybe for the tournament period, because I just think that putting these two together, it's a quick match too. But like Raquel was always going to be the one to advance, and I just think it makes a lot more sense. So Raquel advances, and now she awaits the winner of Bianca Bellaire and Dakota Kai. So very interesting setup there, potentially in the second round, but it's Raquel moving on in this one. And speaking of Bianca Bellaire, 69 overall here. Bellaire, a nice rating, and she knows that Dakota Kai can hang with her. So we get her talking about that in a video promo here, because they've had this match before, and that's kind of what we push. We've said, hey, these two had a really good match the first time around. I want to say it was like a 70-72 or something. And that's kind of what we're playing up with sort of the rematch, the chance at redemption for Dakota Kai to maybe beat the SmackDown Women's Champion. And Bellaire knows that Dakota Kai can hang with her. She kind of, applauds her skills a little bit here. And that's kind of what they're playing up, is Bianca knowing she has a tough opponent here in Dakota Kai. And speaking of which, that is Pat McAfee, once again, asking Dakota Kai. We go from Bellaire's promo to Dakota Kai, and look, McAfee wants to know about the pressure of sweeping the first round, because the Mean Girls are now officially 2-0, and he wants to know, okay, what do you think? Do you need to win here? Because if you don't, we all heard what Alexa said, and it's all on you now. The pressure's on you, and as you'll see, this is why we set it up this way, to kind of go in this order of having all three of these matches back-to-back. Alexa wins hers, Raquel wins hers, so now we've really built the pressure on Dakota Kai, and that's kind of what we're pushing here in this one. So 56 overall, and Dakota Kai just kind of responds with, hey, I understand the pressure, but I've been in there with Bianca before. I know now what it takes to beat her. I learned from that first match, and she said she is not worried about Alexa. She's not worried about any of this pressure of these numbers, anything like that. She's just worried about winning her first round match against Bianca Bellaire. So it's set officially. Bianca Bellaire versus Dakota Kai. First round action. Can Dakota Kai sort of get her redemption here after losing that first match? Can she maybe put herself on the map by beating the SmackDown Women's Champion, one of the favorites, if not the favorite, to win this tournament as the only singles champion in the field, with Bayley sitting this one out? We'll see. Or is it Bianca going 2-0 against Dakota Kai? It is set, and here we go with a big first-round match, and it's Bianca Bellaire getting the win over Dakota Kai, 12-18, 66, so another pretty good match here. And, you can kind of see what we're working with. You've seen this a couple times now. Dakota Kai kind of foreshadowing a face turn. I can't hide that from you guys, so we kind of have to put that in there. But if you follow the story, I think you all kind of know something's brewing here. It's just a matter of when is this all going to kind of explode. And not yet, because Bianca gets the win over Dakota Kai. And another hard-fought match. So, again, the first match they have was like in the low 70s, I think. This one gets a 66, so not bad here. We still, Dakota's overness is still in the 40s, too, because she came from NXT. So we got a lot to figure out in terms of, kind of pushing some of these people that still have those NXT-like popularity ratings. But it's a nice victory for Bianca Bellaire. And after the match, it is Bianca who goes over and she offers a handshake to Dakota Kai. And we see Dakota Kai kind of hesitate a little bit. She thinks about it, but then she just rolls out of the ring, so does not accept the handshake. So a little bit more tension there with that. So that's kind of your setup here. Bellaire advances, and now we know it's official. Bianca Bellaire versus Raquel Gonzalez in the second round of the Mae Young Classic. So that is a big quarterfinal match we're going to have for night 2. But 68 on this one. It's set. Charlotte Flair versus a mystery opponent. We've already, had a big return in Rhea Ripley. Who's going to be the mystery opponent for Charlotte Flair? Well, here comes Mick Foley. And Mick Foley, our SmackDown general manager, makes an appearance, just like our Raw general manager. Stone Cold Steve Austin made an appearance a little bit earlier on, and Mick comes on out, and he says, all right, Charlotte, you want to know who your mystery opponent is. And it's set up to where he says, I have to announce to you that I've made a new signing to SmackDown, and that new signing will be your opponent in the first round of the Mae Young Classic. And Mick goes to introduce the name, but he stops, and he corrects himself. He says, actually, hold on a second. I said that I made a new signing. He says, I need to correct myself because it's not anyone that's new to SmackDown, and it's no one that's new to WWE. He says, this is a person you've seen before, Charlotte. It's a person you've seen on SmackDown before. And he says that I would like to officially announce that this superstar will be making her in-ring return here in the first round of the Mae Young Classic, her long-awaited return. And who is it but none other than Paige? Because Paige is officially back. And what a timing, I guess you could say, on this, because in reality, like, Paige just announced she was leaving WWE. I guess she couldn't get cleared after injury, so she couldn't get back in the ring. But we got her cleared in our save, and so she is officially back. Paige is the mystery opponent for Charlotte. Remember, these two had bad blood many years ago, and now, what a setup this is here. First round match, Paige is officially back, and let me just tell you, anyone knocking Paige here, she's 29 years old. Her star quality is through the roof. She has some great ratings, and so this was a no-brainer to me. Like, the more I look at it, I'm like, okay, how do we, again, when I set this up initially, Paige and Rhea Ripley were always going to be the two big mystery reveals. Just looking at the ratings and stuff, like, Paige is a star. Like, she is just, her star quality, outstanding. She's only 29. Again, I repeat that. Like, she is only 29 years old, but we officially get her cleared. She makes her return to the ring. A long time coming. Paige is the mystery opponent for Charlotte Flair, and what a scene this is as she is officially back. Going up against Charlotte, she adds some, huge boost to our SmackDown Women's Division. And so, here we go. Paige versus Charlotte Flair, 67 here. Who's going to win it? And it is Paige getting the win over Charlotte Flair. 12-14, the quick cradle. So we do the flash pinfall finish here. Gets a 60, so not a great match, but Paige off her game. And we're going to talk about Charlotte in a second. But I'm fine with this because, again, I kind of knew coming back that this was going to be one where we'd have to, if we wanted to make Paige the victor, which we did from the start, we do the flash pinfall. So here's what we had to do. We tried to make this just a Paige win over Charlotte. Well, guess what? Charlotte wasn't having that. So rather than make her angry, we keep Charlotte strong here. We do the flash pinfall finish. Those two were enough to kind of remove Charlotte being, unhappy at the booking. So that's what we had to do. It is what it is. It's not the first time we've ever had to do that. But let's talk about Charlotte for a second. Once again, in extremely poor form. Been that way since June. So since we started the save, she's been in extremely poor form. And as I mentioned to you guys before, Charlotte has the in a funk attribute, which can last, I think it was, what was it I said before, 6 months to 2 years? Like, she could have been in this thing for years at this point. So, no way was I really wanting to take a chance on having her wrestle multiple matches in a tournament setting, knowing that she is just penalizing everything that she's in. And so, I'll be honest, I reworked some of the ideas for this tournament, but there was never really a scenario where I had Charlotte going very far, period. I never had it going that far just because of those notes. So, Paige gets the win, so a surprising exit for Charlotte Flair in the first round of this tournament. You can all kind of guess, oh boy, what is Charlotte going to do now after pretty much calling her shot, saying she's going to win this whole thing? She's been eliminated in the first round by the returning Paige, a shocking return here, and Charlotte's out. So Paige advances, and wow, what a moment for Paige to make her in-ring return, 60 overall here on this one. And backstage, we go from that to seeing Alexa Bliss, who we see Dakota Kai just kind of scold, just kind of being in the corner, and then all of a sudden Alexa Bliss comes over and she just starts scolding her for losing her match. Mean Girls go 2-1. They don't go 3-0 because of Dakota Kai. And, it's Alexa saying, I told everyone from the start you weren't going to win. Everyone kept saying I was being mean. I wasn't. I knew you weren't going to win. And here is me and Raquel both having advanced and now having an opportunity to win the tournament. We all know now what it's going to set up. It's going to be me versus Raquel in the finals, and Raquel is going to do what I've taught her to do, and that's to fall in line and do what I say, and that means allowing me to win this tournament. But meanwhile, you can't do anything I say. And it's just Alexa just going on, and you can just see the anger, the frustration building up in Dakota Kai. 64 overall here. So we add more tension and a lot more to come with this. But Alexa not happy at Dakota Kai for losing her first round match. And speaking of which, we have another one here. It is Sonja Deville versus Kyrie Zane. And this is kind of a sneaky one to me. I think this could be a good match. I think this is kind of one of the more underrated first round matches, perhaps from a rating standpoint, because I look at these two. Sonja has been on, just a tear. She, as we said, one half of Basler and Deville, our tag team champions, but those two had a dominant run, but yet Baszler suffers her first loss, and now could Sonja suffer her first loss against Kyrie Zane, who maybe not coming in at 100% after that attack from Charlotte Flair, which we kind of swerved you on that, I guess. We did kind of set up as though it was going to be Charlotte versus Kyrie Zane in the second round after Charlotte attacked Zane on SmackDown, but now it's not, and so here we go. Sonja Deville versus Kyrie Zane. The winner goes on to take on the returning Paige. Surprise there. And who's it going to be? It's Sonja Deville as she gets the win in 750. The submission does at 66. So it's actually a pretty good match here. These two, did well. We get the crowd buzzing. I did do still the show for this one. I looked at the ratings here, and these two are very good in terms of just kind of their overall skill set. So nice match. Only goes 750, but still, it was kind of one of those where we wanted them to go all out, and they do at a 66 for this one. So Sonja advances, and now an interesting second round matchup that probably no one could have predicted coming into this tournament. Sonja Deville versus Paige is officially a quarterfinal matchup that will take place on night 2 of the Mae Young Classic. And then a dream match of sorts for some. As we go backstage, we kind of get the split camera here. Sasha Banks and Lita both making their way to the ring, and then they kind of meet, about ready to make their entrance here, and they are face-to-face. A dream match set up, 72 overall here, and just kind of staring at each other, looking at, knowing that this thing could be wild with the way these two wrestle. And Lita just says, may the best woman win. And that is kind of your setup for this big match, Sasha Banks versus Lita. A huge one that we set up, announcing Lita as the mystery opponent at Survivor Series. Sasha, we played up. She's a little surprised, and she's kind of mentioned that multiple times. She thought it would be someone else. I promise we'll get to that eventually, everyone. I haven't forgot about that, and I'm not just saying that for no reason. But surprised by Lita, but then Sasha just kind of says, hey, I'm ready. Doesn't matter who it is. I'm ready to face Lita. This is the match I've wanted for a long time, and she's going to get it right here. Sasha Banks versus Lita. Who will advance to take on Rhea Ripley? It is Sasha Banks getting the win over Lita, 10-23. The bank statement, 63. This was actually better than I would have expected because, Lita's performance, in-ring performance, 47 here. I mean, that's not surprising, but we did try to protect her if we could, and we did use the protect note. Decisive finish here. We make it an open match and those kind of things. But, I mean, look, you're still going to get probably dinged a little bit for declining physical ability, and we do, but still, I think protecting her helped a little bit and to make this a little bit better of a match rating. So Sasha gets the win, and now, what a setup, right? Rhea Ripley, whose last match prior to her shocking comeback here at the Mae Young Classic was in the ring with Sasha Banks in that tag team match at King of the Ring. Now, a huge second round match with, you talk about, star power. Rhea Ripley, Sasha Banks in the second round. So one of those are being eliminated before we even get to the semifinals. So what a big match that sets up. Banks, Ripley, second round. Woo, gonna be something. All right, and then we're ready for our main event. Pat McAfee has found Asuka. And 69, nice rating here. And McAfee kind of questions Asuka's recent aggression. Everyone's kind of brought it up. Becky's brought it up. Others have seen it. Go back to Survivor Series, all of that. We've seen this kind of streak that you've been on, and McAfee wants to know, what's this all about? And Asuka just keeps it simple. Says, no one is ready for it. So rather than saying no one is ready for Asuka, Asuka just kind of says no one is ready for this recent, streak that she's been on, this aggressiveness that she's shown, and leaves it at that. So what does that mean for Asuka? We'll see moving forward. But a 69 here for this one. And then in comes Becky Lynch. Great segment here, 87. As Becky walks in, as McAfee's kind of moving away, and we have these two now kind of staring off, just as we had with Sasha and Lita. And Becky says her road back to the top begins now. So, kind of her road back to being the man, being at the top of the WWE Women's Division. It begins now, and that's kind of your setup here, as these two kind of stare each other down before this big main event. And it is our main event, Becky Lynch versus Asuka. I really, look, I know this is going to get the best rating of any of the matches we have thus far in this tournament. I don't really have a lot of doubt about that, because these are two that are very over. Becky's really over. I mean, she's in the mid-80s. So that alone really going to help this match, I think. But, I mean, we've got quite a setup here, because these are arguably two of the favorites to win this tournament. And, they're facing off in the first round. So a huge first-round match. And here we go. Becky Lynch versus Asuka. Can Becky kind of hold off this streak of Asuka? Or will it be Asuka who just takes it another step and finds a way to beat Becky Lynch? Let's see what happens in our main event. And, oh my goodness, wow. So an 80, yes, that's what we wanted. Fantastic stuff there. Oh man, this is awesome. So, Becky Lynch gets the win over Asuka. 13:59, the pump handle slam does it, but I am just thrilled at this rating between these two. 80 overall, and I mean, just a fantastic main event, which we expected. I mean, this is why we set this up as a first-round match, why we set it up as our main event. We knew it was going to be a big one. And I'm just glad it delivered, because these two can go in the ring, as you see here, 85-83 in the in-ring performances. But, wow, this is, I'm so excited about the fact that this delivered the way that it did. So Becky gets the win. She finds a way to beat Asuka in a great main event. And then after the match, in the ring, it is Becky celebrating a hard-fought victory. And on the outside, it is Asuka, who is just sitting on the ground, just kind of looking on as Becky celebrates her big victory. And an 84 to finish this with a great segment. So really, our best Becky Asuka stuff all delivers. We had some solid matches along the way in the first round there with that one. So just fantastic stuff from Becky Lynch here. And so that's how we wrap up night one of the Mae Young Classic. And everything is sort of officially set as we get a 79. So pretty good show here. I mean, this is one, like I said, I didn't really know, knowing that our ratings were not going to be as high. And by the way, I know there's 38,000 people. We set this as a normal event. I guess we could have set it as a lesser event. But, I mean, again, we're basically, as we said, we're playing against ourselves in this game. There's really no competition. There's nothing. It is what it is. So I'm not really concerned about that either. But I am really happy at a 79, because, like I said, I mean, mostly that's carried by the main event. But, I mean, everything else, 60s and all that, I mean, everything I thought pretty much went the way that I would have wanted on night one. So that's a long way from where we used to be in our women's division, where I was just waiting for something bad to happen with these matches or injuries and that kind of stuff. But we now see who's going to advance, and there you go. So it is official. Night one in the books of the Mae Young Classic. We have our matches set up for the quarterfinals and all that, so everything is kind of set now. And we're going to give Rhea Ripley some encouragement, and we're going to praise her for a great performance. We're definitely going to praise Becky for a performance here, because Becky deserves it. We're going to praise her for a great performance, and we're also going to praise Asuka because she deserves a nice, great performance. So we're going to give all those there for these three. So I think I'm really excited. So we've kind of got this set up. Rhea's pleased with the speech. Becky's pleased. And Asuka's pleased. So there you go. Now, let's look at how things are going to set up going into night two of the Mae Young Classic. All right, so Mae Young Classic, positive show. Vast majority enjoyed it. But like I said, if I would have set this as a lesser event or something, I mean, sure, but I mean, look, I'm these are kind of things I just am not concerned about at this point, just knowing our save is basically just us playing against ourselves, and yeah, whatever. So we get a big show here. Did go up against Impact Final Resolution. I don't think that's going to matter all that much. Looks like an awesome show, though, for Impact. Good for them. But the Mae Young Classic, big there. By the way, something else I saw here. Austin Theory is rising. Oh, boy. The one to watch. So, remember, we just had Austin Theory appear on Raw in our Kevin Owens Open Challenge for the U.S. title. So, what does that mean for Austin Theory? Do we get a little bump out of this coming out of it? We will see. But that is worth noting. Let's look at our mail. Bayley's contract officially ending. I think we'll want to re-sign her. So, I'm going to leave that there as our women's champion on Raw. That's very interesting, isn't it? What if we just let Bayley walk? You know it's not going to happen. Drug test fees, Mae Young Classic, we get $3.4 million. That's good to know. Again, I know realistically, I know that maybe not be realistic, but it's fine. So good to see there. Developmental contract, we still haven't addressed that, but that is what it is. So, all right. So that's our setup for the Mae Young Classic Night 1, and now we officially know what things look like heading into the quarterfinals, and let's look at a quick update on our tournament bracket. All right, so I know this isn't Ben's fantastic bracket here, but we'll get that one updated for the next episode that we record, which will be the official night 2 of the Mae Young Classic. But this is a kind of quick overview if you want to look at the quarterfinals. Becky Lynch versus Alexa Bliss, Sonja Deville versus Paige, Bianca Bellaire versus Raquel Gonzalez, and Rhea Ripley versus Sasha Banks. So a big setup here. I'm really excited about all of these matches. Look, returning Rhea Ripley, probably the most surprising of the group for everyone, I would think. Paige's return, I assume, has to be shocking for some people. And I keep going back to it. Paige is 29 years old. Like, she is a star, and we officially have her back, healthy, ready to compete again. That's a big boost for our women's division. And then again, Becky versus Alexa, Bianca versus Raquel, who we've already had some history between. We'll talk about that heading into that match. But there's your setup. One of these 8 women will win the Mae Young Classic. Who will it be? Send me your updated predictions and let me know who you think is going to walk out as the Mae Young Classic winner. Here, as you know, some of you made your predictions before the tournament. Update those predictions. Who wins now? What do you kind of see? How do you see this all playing out? What did you think of the surprises? Remember, from the start, I said I wanted this to be like the best women's tournament on earth, basically. And I wanted to load this up with kind of as much star power as we could. A little bit different than the initial setup of the Mae Young Classic. I said it's going to be different from reality. It's not just going to be kind of all new stars. We're going to make this a little bit different. And so that was kind of our setup here. But there you go. There are the 8 women that are left. 4 big matches. And then also on night 2, of course, we'll have the quarterfinals. We'll have the semifinals. And then we will crown a Mae Young Classic winner on night 2 of our tournament. So there is your setup. Mae Young Classic. Night 1 in the books. And now we get ready for night 2 of the events. And again, be sure, like, share, subscribe, hit that subscribe button. I want to get to that 500 mark here soon. We're almost there, and I can't thank you guys enough for all the great support and feedback to even get to this point. But we're almost to that 500 number, so hit the subscribe button, share it with your friends that play this game. We have a lot of great series going on. If you're waiting on the next episode of the AEW, one we just introduced, that should be up. My guess is on Tuesday or Wednesday, so that will be up very soon as well. But we wanted to go ahead and get night 1 of the books of the Mae Young Classic, and night 2, I'm going to push out a couple days. So rather than doing them back-to-back, I know I'd mentioned that. My guess is we'll probably just skip a day in between. So this is up on Monday. Night 2, as of right now, unless I'll let you guys know in the comments if something changes, but as of right now, you can expect night 2 to go up on Wednesday. So that's kind of the plan here on that. So let me know what you think. Great feedback, as always, and what did you think of night 1 of the Mae Young Classic, and what are your expectations for night 2, where we will crown a winner of the Mae Young Classic. But appreciate you guys as always, and on the next episode of our WWE series, it will be a big and must-see, and I do mean must-see, night 2 of the Mae Young Classic.